Don't be afraid. Down, down. Down. Don't be afraid. Down, down. Down. Run to me. I run to myself. I let you down. Run to me. I run to move.
All right, let's talk some basketball for a minute. It ain't gonna be on too long. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate the love, support. Check out the NBA 101 playlist for more videos like this. Shaq went in. Shaq went all the way in. I'm going in. I'm going in. Then Lil Wayne have a song saying that I'm going in. He went in. We're gonna talk about Tyler, LeBron, and Steph. What else? What else we got on today? Jokić all-time great center, where he ranked. And him and his SGA battle for MVP. So we're gonna see what Shaq had to say. I told Kobe, I take the ball, I dunk it. I told Kobe, pass me the Oreos. Penny, Dwayne, pass me the Oreos. Pass me the Oreos. I take the Oreo double stuff. Matter of fact, I call it the factory. Triple stuff it for Shaq, and I dunk it. I dunk it in whole milk. I'm not here to play. I don't play no games. Can't believe Shaq on TV and shit. I'm hungry. Chuck. You know what I'm saying? And I got a video coming eventually about his beef with Shannon Sharp. Apparently, he's trying to pay money to get Shannon Sharp exposed. I'm telling y'all, man, money don't mean niggas ain't gonna be niggas. All right, that's just what it is.
Who these niggas? I cried laughing when I
Yeah,
you know
what
what I mean? like, we need to stay away from these niggas.
Facts, Trey Finesse salute. So let's see if I can pull up what Shaq had to say. But yeah, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna probably put this on the podcast, so I feel like I ain't gonna make no promises out here. Close to the NFL draft, I know nothing about it, to be honest. But yeah, let's talk about Shizzy, my Shizzy Shaq, and he went in, and he took a shot at the GOAT, young GOAT, Ben Simmons. And I can wholeheartedly, completely agree with him. But then LeBron to be like, "Oh man, they hating." Like, dude, he was part of the destruction of the game that a lot of us grew up loving, thanks to Magic and Bird and Julius Erving and Michael Jordan. You destroyed it. But let's see what Shaq had to say.
So you think LeBron's longevity is a byproduct of the change in the physicality of the game too?
Definitely.
Okay.
Less physical. Right now, you get a flagrant foul, you get fined, suspended. Like, guys ain't even fouling hard no more. Back before I played, it was crazy. But when I played, it was crazy. But even before, like the 80s going to 90s, it was probably more physical then. But when people get mad, it's just a product of what I see. I've seen what greatness is. Been there, played with them. I don't see that all the time over here. So you want me to give these motherfuckers the same props I'm giving them, that shit will never happen. So you can call it hate if you want. But even with the word hate, like these kids that like to throw that word around. You ain't fucking great, and I'm great. How the fuck can I hate on you? That don't make no fucking sense. I'm in the fucking building. You're not in the building. So how the fuck can I hate on you? You know, people say Charles and I, we're ruining the game talking about the product because the product is shit. Fuck, show me greatness. Like, y'all pay a lot of money for these shoes, and I want to see because be great. And I'm going to always stay on them and motivate them to be great. They can call it hate I want, but I ain't sucking these out just because they're making $400 million. What are you saying? In any area. And motivate them to be great. They can call it hate I want, but I ain't sucking these out just because they're making $400 million. A lot of these can't play, and they know it. In any area, they can't play. I'm just saying. Pick and roll, one-on-one. I fucking can't play, dog. Joker can play. Giannis can play. Dame, a couple of these guys can play, but a lot of these can't play. Like Ben Simmons, that motherfucker need to be arrested.
What about like a Jason Tatum?
Jason Tatum can play. He's all right. I'm not going to bash him, but Ben Simmons need to be arrested. $250 for that shit.
Arrested, did you say?
Arrested. $250 million for that bullshit. Get the fuck out of my face. Robbing people, man. Can't do that.
Shaq stood on business. Shaq stood on business. Y'all see the boy Shaq? Shaq stood on business. Shaq stood on business. He's 100% correct. He's 100% correct. He ain't lying. You know, he said Alejandro Shaq act like he was not getting his ass kicked in the dog. That he made it to the finals in his early 20s. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? He made it to the finals in Orlando. What are we talking about? And that's the process for everybody, whether it was Michael, you know, other than Larry and Magic. That was everybody got their ass kicked. It's a process. Nobody goes from being a zero to hero. Steph didn't do it. LeBron didn't do it. Michael didn't do it. You know, and the Lakers did it because they made a trade and it ended up like they made a cut. I mean, ended up with Magic and they ended up making another trade that could have been Dominique, but they took James Worthy. Like the shit was, see, you think the NBA just not started being fixed. Like, come on. You heard what he said. Of course, Tom Brady can play into his 40s. Why? You can't hit the quarterback. You can't be physical no more. These are facts. You know, and then when you kind of start talking about Jokic, and I'm be very brief on this, on all these topics, you know, and I'll get to Jokic a little bit later. Like, who is the next best center he going against? Joel Embiid, and he don't even play. He don't play basketball no more. Joel Embiid is part-time retired. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is.
More do you want from me? Oh my God.
You know, he part-time retired. So when we start kind of having these conversations, you know, when we start having these real live conversations, dog, like, come on. Come on. Like, who is the next best center that he's going up against? Competition matters, bro. Like, rules matter. Like, if we play 2K and I don't know, let's just say I beat the season mode on rookie and you beat it on, what is it, Hall of Fame now? I don't play that shit no more. Shit ass. You know, but you beat it on Hall of Fame. Is it the same? No, it's not the same. I remember Wilt Chamberlain telling Michael Jordan, they made the game easier for you. They made it harder for me. So let's not act like these debates ain't been out here. You know, Wilt and Michael they got video of them arguing. I'm gonna talk about that. You know, I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna talk about it. But that's real. That's real spill. That's real spill, bro. So how can you compare an era when one era was playing on rookie mode, the other player was playing on Hall of Fame, superstar. I mean, you can go on and on and on and on and on and on. It's not the same. But Shaq is not saying the product sucks. That's why Adam Silver takes so much criticism. That's why Adam Silver takes so much criticism, is because these players don't want to play and they don't develop. That's another crazy fact. They don't develop. Am I lying when I say this? They don't develop. They don't develop. They do not develop. Rudy Gobert just got to learn how to do a couple post moves. He never comes back knowing how to score the basketball. Ja Morant, say what you want to say. He never comes back more durable, not putting no muscle on his frame. He don't come back more in shape. Nothing. He's come back the same player every year. Not a better jump shot. None of it. But I'm going to let Shaq say it again without interruption.
Do you think LeBron's longevity is a byproduct of the change in the physicality of the game, too?
Definitely.
Okay.
Less physical. Right now, you get a flagrant foul, you get fined, suspended. Like, guys ain't even fouling hard no more. Back before I played, it was crazy. But when I played, it was crazy. But even before, like the 80s going to 90s, it was probably more physical then. But, people get mad. It's just a product of what I see. I've seen what greatness is. Been there, played with them. I don't see that all the time over here. So you want me to give these the same props I'm giving them? That shit will never happen. So you can call it hate if you want. But even with the word hate, like these kids that like to throw that word around. You ain't great and I'm great. How the fuck can I hate on you? That don't make no sense. I'm in the building. You're not in the building. So how the fuck can I hate on you? People say Charles and I, we're ruining the game talking about the product because the product is shit. Fuck, show me greatness. Like, y'all pay a lot of money for these shoes and I want to see because be great. And I'm going to always stay on them and motivate them to be great. They can call it hate I want, but I ain't sucking these out just because they're making $400 million. A lot of these can't play, and they know it. In any era, they can't play. I'm just saying. Pick and roll, one-on-one. I fucking can't play, dog. Joker could play. Giannis could play. Dame, a couple of these guys could play, but a lot of these can't play. Like Ben Simmons, that motherfucker need to be arrested.
What about like a Jason Tatum?
Jason Tatum could play. He's all right. I'm not going to bash him, but Ben Simmons need to be arrested. $250 for that shit.
Arrested, did you say?
Arrested. $200.
So you heard what he had to say, and it's a lot of truth. But then again, when you got fans of this era who never seen the era before, they watch highlights. But actually, studying the tape and actually sitting down and watching these guys actually play and living through it. Nostalgia has a point. Nostalgia is just not a feeling. It's an actual thing. When you get the nostalgia of how it used to be when the NBA was filled with rivalries, was the Heat, the Knicks, whether it was always a little brother, big brother rivalry with the Clippers and the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was a rivalry with Jersey and Detroit, or Detroit and Indiana, or Indiana, New York, when you had all these different rivalries, man, like when people, you thought they really disliked each other on some wrestling shit. The NBA was bad blood. So that alone changes the competition. These dudes used to play. They used to know how to dribble. They used to fight through a little bit more contact. There used to be 7-footers going around, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute about Jokic. There was no shortage of 7-footers that can play. Even guys that y'all forget, like Sean Bradley, Red Smits. You know what I'm saying? Bill Cartwright was drafted pretty high. Brad Daughtry. I mean, when you keep going on and on, young or old Alonzo Mourning. I mean, Dikembe Mutombo. When you start, like, every night there was somebody. Kevin Willis, shout out to Detroit. You can go on and on and on with the number of big fellas that was walking around, and they may not have been the greatest, but Jamal McGlure. A lot of these guys were skilled. Even other guys that quite wasn't like right there as far as like a center, PJ Brown. When you start talking about just, athletic freaks like Miles Swift around that big fella era, like they really have changed the game. And I lived it. That's how I know what basketball supposed to look like. Allen Iverson was small, but if he came to your city, he was going to play. You know, Kobe dealt with injuries. If he came to your city, he was going to play. They love the game. The love for the game is gone. And then I don't think any man that's watching this can argue there's no more masculinity. They suck the masculinity out. No Diddy, no Harvey Weinstein. They suck the masculinity out of the world. Am I lying? They suck the masculinity out of the world. So now all of a sudden, you starting to see it creep in. You starting to see it creep in sports. A masculine mind frame is I know I don't want to get up and go to work today, but I got to go to work today. I got to do things that I don't want to do. And so even when you own the company, you got to do more work than an employee do. Why do you think some people prefer to stay an employee? There's more work, hard work, and I got to make my own hours, and I can make my own hours, and it sounds good. But in reality, you can't make your own hours, ninja. If something going on with the company at 3 a.m. and it's somebody break in, they need to talk to the owner, you got to go be there. So you don't have a schedule. Your schedule is whatever based on what the company need, no matter how big or how small the company is, and that's just the God honest truth. So it don't matter. Just because you don't want to own the company, that don't make you less of a man. Everybody don't have the mindset or the cutthroat nature to run a company. Okay? So don't think because you know what, you might be saying to yourself, hey man, I really don't want to be the CE. I don't want the responsibility. That's okay. That don't make you any less of a man. What makes you less of a man when you don't want to get up and do something, when you want to be lazy and when you want to be lazy. Well, they just told me my channel was 9 years old today. So shout out to the channel being 9 years old today. I didn't even know it. I know I wasn't even thinking about it, but shout out to the channel 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like if you lazy and you lazy and you are not ambitious, you're not a man. You're a male at best. And that's just the God honest truth. So when we started talking about back in the day, yeah, was there some things that we didn't like that was mundane? Yeah, playing through the big man. I heard Jeff Teague say, "Oh, I hated that." Yeah, but at the end of the day, it opened up everything for everybody else. You can't play through the big man no more. Why? Because it ain't no good big man no more. Can't identify the double team. Can't turn baseline and hit a basic turning gun or basic short jump hook. Yes, these dudes are not skilled anymore. I mean, that's quite fucking Captain Obvious. They can't dribble. They can't play. They got all this technology and medicine and aviation and everything. They can't play. They don't play games. So, but he's absolutely right. A lot of the guys that was played in that era, they was just so much better, bro. They were so much better. And a lot of guys that had to play their role and had to sacrifice themselves, their games to fit in the NBA. Like today, a lot of these guys wouldn't be able to play yesterday. Not because they're not talented enough, because you had to change your game. I talked about Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas could have went out there and scored 60. He could have went out there and scored 60. A lot of times, 40 points a game, probably. He could have. But for the greater good of the team, he became a true point guard. So the way you see guys like Steph Curry play, he couldn't play like that back in the day. He couldn't. He would have had to run the team. He didn't know. We don't want Draymond to run the team, nigga. You the point guard, you run the team. Right or wrong, that's the way it was back in the day. So a lot of these guys, they don't know. I mean, I was listening to the 520 podcast and they did an interview. I wish I would have got this clip. And it was this guy they brought on. He coaches college basketball. His name was, I think it was Chris. They had a trainer. His name was Chris Johnson, but they had another guy on there. He coached basketball. And he said he played with Jeff Teague's dad at Boston University. And he said that a lot of coaches in the NBA and all executive and coaches are telling him that players don't even know what a screen is, what a pin down is. They don't even know the language of what they're supposed to do. And that's another thing. AAU is destroying basketball. It ain't nothing but a glorified pickup game. And two, when you don't go to college, college is the military version of basketball. Everything is militant, the way they train. Because when you play a traditional zone, you can't just go 1-on-5. You have to pass the ball. You have to box out. And the weakness in the zone, playing the traditional zone, is that you can offensive rebound. They give up a lot of offensive rebounds. You have to box out. You have to know how to run plays. You have to know how to cut because you're going against a zone. You got to know how to attack in college. You got to know how to attack the full press. Even though they don't full press in the NBA like that, you can't really out dribble the press. You got to pass through the press, knowing not to dribble to the corners on the press, because once you dribble to the corner on the court, you can get trapped. So the idea, if you're going to pass the ball to the corner, you're trying to get the ball back to the middle of the court to break the press. But when we was learning that thing, those type of things coming up, triple threat, all that type of stuff, we was learning how to break the press. And you be like, well, what they could do to the NBA if they don't press? It teach you how to play team basketball. Pass, you learn how to pass. So when you play that traditional zone, you learn, okay, this is why we need the screen. This is why we need the pin down. This is why we need high pick and roll. This is why we can't bust the press. This is why we got to pass to get through the press. That's why a lot of times NBA players get to the international play and they suck, because the international play, you can play traditional zone. It's because they never learn how to bust a traditional zone for real. They never know. It's the NBA is a one-on-one game. Let me put it to you in this type of analogy. You ever notice when you see a lot of talented teams, let's just say in the great state of Illinois, and just total example before we move on. And it's always the white teams that make it to the state championship, right? Always the white teams make it to the state championship. A lot of times they was winning it, whether it was football, basketball, baseball. And a lot of these black players, they go on to be professionals, D1 players, D2, D3. They had the more talented team. You'd be like, well, why did the white team win? Called a team sport. It's called a team sport. And a lot of black people, and I talked about this, I did a video with PJ Brown talking about this. A lot of black people don't work as a team. Even in sports, it's really, really a representation of the community. They don't work well as a team. Now, you say, well, why doesn't that translate to the pros? Because every level you go up to talent level, you got to have talent. So it's about individual base when you get up there. But you're seeing that in the NBA, when they make it to the Olympics, they don't play well as a team, man, because they don't know each other and they ain't been playing that well. It's an isolation one-on-one game. They don't run plays no more. You know what I'm saying? There ain't too many true point guards no more. A lot of the people that play off the ball, they can't play off the ball because they need the ball. They play on the ball. That's the LeBron effect. Everybody want to play on the ball. One thing I like about Jokic, he can play on the ball, off the ball. One thing I like about Murray, that when Westbrook work, he can play on the ball, off the ball. A lot of these guys can't play without the basketball. LeBron is so great that he can play without the basketball. That's an anomaly. These guys don't know how to catch and shoot without the ball. They don't know how to post without the ball. They don't know how to, rotate and create space to get themselves a better jump shot. They don't know how to catch and shoot no more. The reason why I like to watch Minnesota and Denver and now Detroit, the ball don't stick. Everybody's moving, and they have their times where they go isolation. But they actually run actual offenses. When you watch Boston, it's your turn, Tatum. It's my turn, Brown. It's my turn, Tatum. And all they do is jack up threes. I like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I hate Boston, but I like them. But they play, for the talent they got. If they actually ran a good offense, they could nobody, be within 20 points of them. But they don't know how to play that. Denver plays very, very well. It's very fluid. It's not my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. They play a fluid ball of offensive ball. Even when you think about Steve Nash, you say, well, Steve Nash dominant. Steve Nash was so selfless. Steve Nash could average 50. I bullshit you not. Steve Nash could average 50. I wasn't a Steve Nash hater. But Steve Nash knew to make his teammates better, but his teammates understood that. Joe Johnson in Phoenix was totally different from Joe Johnson in Atlanta. He sacrificed his game. He knew, okay, I got to spot up. Tim Thomas had that run there. You remember they played the Clippers and Tim Thomas was doing the Tony Ayo, you can't see me. And then they gave that shit credit. They gave that to they gave credit for that to John Cena. I mean, Tom was talking about he should have sued. I don't know, man.
What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you?
But he has to space, you know, they knew how to space. Y'all just thought D'Antoni was, you know, that was Steve Nash. They knew how to rotate. They knew how to create space. They knew when Nash went this way, okay, let me rotate this way. Oh, Nash doing that, or he flipped the ball to Sean Marion in the over on the wing. Let me run the baseline up, easy bucket. Oh, easy offensive. They don't know how to play basketball no more. When I was growing up, they taught us the fundamentals. You rebound, you keep the ball up in the air, or you go back up strong with it. Triple threat, hold the ball in your pocket. You know, so in the pocket you can escape dribble, you can pass, you can shoot. Basic post move, drop step, left hand, right hand layup. So, you know, Shaq is saying a lot. So the fundamentals are missing in basketball. That's what I would say. Before we start talking about other than availability, the fundamentals are missing. The fundamentals are missing. When you start talking about the love for the game, I think that's a direct correlation with the durability and availability. But the fundamentals, they don't have fundamentals no more. He's exactly right. They don't. That's what he's saying. Outside of these guys want to be superstars. They want to be drug dealers. They want to be everything but hoopers. And that's always been that way. Athletes always wanted to be musicians and rappers and entertainers and musicians always wanted to be athletes. I'm not knocking that. But let's move on to Jokic, which is one of my favorite players. I mean, the big fundamental. You know, I think he's the big fundamental reincarnated. I mean, you can't argue another 60-point triple W. I think if he does end up getting MVP, it's just going to be off the strength that, or if he don't get it, it's going to be off the strength. They should have gave it to SGA last year. But there's a debate whether he's, you know, the greatest big man of all time. I mean, and all that's subjective. Everybody look at numbers, but all numbers are not created equally. So people need to understand that if Shaq is playing on Hall of Fame and Jokic is playing on All-Star or rookie, I mean, it's totally different. Jokic has no adversary. His best adversary, and I'll get to the comments after I talk about this. His adversaries are Anthony Davis at this point. Anthony Davis plays him the best. Only the people I see play him the best are athletic people. Andre Drummond in his prime played him really well, and Anthony Davis played him really well. And him and Joel go back and forth, but Joel, you know.
Come on, get him out of here. You move him out of here.
At some point in time, my brother, you're going to have to show your hand and stop tap dancing like the late, great Gregory Hines, God rest his soul.
So when you start talking about it, which is it's crazy when they say, well, you bring up a guy like George Mikan, Pistol Pete, Bob Lanier. Well, they didn't play against nobody. Artis Gilmore, they didn't play. Well, in reality, he's not playing against any other great centers either. There's no centers no more. I mean, Anthony Davis, he say, well, I don't want to be a center.
More do you want from me? Oh my God.
Anthony Davis don't want to be a center. Joel Embiid, he don't want to play in the league. So when you start naming guys, I mean, what the fuck happened to Mitchell Robinson? He played Joel Embiid pretty good. There's no centers that exist. There's no other great centers. So I'm in a room full of people that have low IQ, and I have the highest of the low IQ. Does that make me an all-time? That didn't put me up there with Einstein? That put me up there with Dr. Ben Carson? You know, I'm just asking.
It's like going to heaven and finding God smoking crack.
I'm asking. No. I'm just the smartest of the low IQ people. So when you start talking about it and kind of talking, even Wilt had Bill Russell and Bill Russell had Wilt. You know, Kareem, the only person that stopped that knocked out. Do y'all know the only person that blocked Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook? Anybody know it? I'll wait. The only person that brought, let me see if anybody got it. Only person that, and shout out to Larry Cartwright in the super chat. Appreciate it, bro.
Tell them to bring me my money.
The only person that blocked Wilt Chamberlain. There you go. Facts. Shout out to you, bro. Wilt Chamberlain was the only person that blocked Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook. So when you start talking about the 80s, Robert Parrish, McHale would have been the center today. Ralph Sampson career ended short. Bill Walton was one of the best big fellas ever. He was one of the greatest passers of the basketball. Believe it or not, in the 80s, one of the greatest big men never played. He never played in the NBA till he's an old man. Arvydas Sabonis, his son is Domantas Sabonis. So when you start talking about world level, like when you start talking about the 80s, Hakeem Olajuwon took the Rockets to the finals in the 80s. People forget that. Artis Gilmore was the league's MVP. Moses Malone got 3 MVPs in the NBA. Bob Lanier. I mean, you can go on and on and on with the big fellas that was in this league every night. Remember, even into the 90s, when you start talking about guys on the lower level, the Davis brothers. Remember Antonio Davis and Dale Davis? Who remember when Antonio? I'm telling you, NBA. Y'all talking about like Ja doing the finger whack shooting thing. Remember when Antonio Davis went in the stands when somebody was fucking with his wife? That motherfucker ran into the stands and he got fined for that. Somebody is fucking with your wife, and Antonio Davis went into the stands to protect his family. And the NBA is full of shit. Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon took the Rockets in the 80s to the finals. It was only a couple times that the Celtics and the Lakers didn't make it together in the finals. It was one time the Pistons, or 2 times the Pistons. And I think the Rockets or the 76ers might have been the other 2. I think that was it. Yeah, Rick Smits. You know what I'm saying? You had a lot of big country down there in Vancouver, up there in Vancouver. I think Bill Cartwright was a top 5 pick, wasn't he? Young Alonzo Mourning. So, just talking about 90s, Patrick Ewing. I mean, so kind of saying Shaq seen him. Whether it was Tim Duncan, David Robinson, he said big country gave him a lot of problems. Jokic will give Shaq problems because he can go out to the 3-point line. But on the other end, and a lot of these dudes was 2-way players. Them Georgetown boys outside of Mutombo, man, Alonzo was a problem. 10-15 jumper, post move, get a bucket, great defender. Ewing was a great defender. So he really in an era, he's a giant amongst midgets. And he's phenomenal. I mean, I think in that era, Sean Bradley could survive, and we talking about some of the guys today that would be considered a center in this era. Chris Webber, Derek Coleman, which most people gave him the lazy, he was lazy. That's people thought. I ain't saying it. Don't run up on me in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Don't run up on me. But you'll see DC walking in the hood, though. And I used to get out of school. Oh, Greg Ostertag. Yeah, man. If Ostertag could play today, so could Jokic. I mean, yesterday. So Jokic would be phenomenal in any era. Defensively, he would give up a lot, but would he be ringing up the numbers he did then? No, the physicality would be different. Would he still get phenomenal? Fuck yeah. Could he still get MVP back in the day? It'd be tough, but it's possible. The handle, the jump shot, the post move. I mean, I think he's an effort defender, but for me to put him over some of them guys that I seen, like Shaquille O'Neal, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, it's hard. And I know what the stats say and the MVP say, and they all not created equally. But I just don't think he's better than those guys. And that's just my opinion. Numbers, if I put up numbers against a middle schooler and I say, well, I average 50 against middle schoolers, you going against NBA players averaging 20 and 10. Come on now. But that's my opinion. But you're doing this in a league where you have no adversaries at center. Anthony Davis is the 2 people that play you best. They just always injured. So, I mean, that's all I can really say.
That's all you do.
Yeah, they say 12th Street. I always see the nigga on Linwood, but back when I get out of school, North End. Yeah, they used to dibble and dabble in the North End. I used to be in some dangerous fucking neighborhoods around that bitch, dog. Swear to God, dog. Swear to God.
Swear for God and 2 white men.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I used to be in some dangerous ass neighborhoods, but yeah, I mean, if you want to crown on, I ain't really knocking you. It's all subjective. It's all opinionated, but I'm telling you what I know. You know, he up there, but just, you know, top 20 player of all time. I mean, so be it. That's where you want to put him at. But I think, you know, great contributors to the game also goes into that. Like Allen Iverson was impactful. Like without Allen Iverson, y'all wouldn't be able to do half the shit y'all doing now. You know, Magic and Bird, I mean, I don't think they can ever fall out the top 5, in my opinion. At least not the top 10. Because without them, you know, I mean, shit, you know, the shit was on tape delay. These niggas weren't even on TV without Magic and Bird. Come on.
I don't give a fuck.
That's what the young generation say. The motherfuckers was on tape delay. So I really think you really can't really put Magic and Bird out the top 5, to be honest. I mean, what Michael did for the league, I mean, come on. He took the baton and he ran with it. He took it international. It wouldn't be no Jokic if it wasn't for Michael. You know, Michael kind of gave it to a plethora of guys, whether it was Shaq, Kobe, AI, they all had it. T-Mac had it. Yao was right there with him. You know, that whole era, Dwight, Dwayne. You know, I'm going to talk about Dwayne in a minute, Dwayne Wade. You know what I'm saying? Like, and, you know, they took it to another Steve Nash. They took it to, you know, another stratosphere, and they gave it to LeBron. And, you know, they gave it to LeBron. And, you know, I think AAU had a lot to do with it. They took it to LeBron. He destroyed it. A lot of imprints that LeBron left in the league, it was pretty much like guys, you know, under his watch, they stopped wanting to play off the ball. Everybody wanted to play on the ball. Everybody wanted to team up. He got exemption for that. And they tried to, it's kind of like if you watch The Gods of Egypt, how they tried to make everybody white in the movie. You know what I'm saying?
It's like going to heaven and finding God smoking crack.
And they tried to make everybody white, but we know Egypt is in Africa, right? And they try to change your mind. And with LeBron, they try to do that with Kevin Durant. All right, Durant went to Golden State. Oh, he started it. Nah, nigga. LeBron started it. Kevin Durant never had the power with the media to start a trend or in the NBA. He never been the face. And LeBron did fuck the league up. He don't care. He like Floyd. Floyd fucked up boxing. He did it on purpose. I'm not sure if Brian did it on purpose, but to be honest, the sport of the sport of basketball on Brian Roch it was destroyed. He destroyed the sport, but we'll hold off on LeBron for a minute. Let's go to SGA. I like this brother a lot. It was one point where you talking about Canada players, and they was just nice people. You know, Canada is like the California of countries. That's Canada. Canada is the powerful is the California of countries. They're a very, very liberal country. They're very liberal. They're very far left, and that's fine. I mean, that's not fine to me, but they're liberal. You know, this was a guy that played for the Clippers for a while. The Clippers gave up on him. You know, at 20 years old. I mean, for sure. I mean, he got a couple years of. He played 82 games his rookie year, 70. I don't know what happened in the first 2 years of OKC, but people forget at one point they was on the verge of trading this guy. I think a lot of people forget that they was on the verge of trade. I mean, not trade. Yeah, OKC was on the verge of trading. I don't know if y'all know this. They offered Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in like a number 5 pick to the Pistons for the right to draft Cade Cunningham. I think a lot of y'all don't know that. They offered us, you know, SGA for Cade Cunningham. I want to say it was 4th or 5th pick they had, and then we probably would have took Franz Wagner and had SGA. And Wagner over there balling. But in my opinion, I think a lot of people felt like he should have got the MVP last year. I mean, you know, in Canada, they're known for being very, very nice and passive. We've seen what happened with Andrew Wiggins. Old girl took his soul, you know.
Do you have any idea what you've done?
She took his soul, and he ain't been right since. And, you know, Canadians have a very great reputation for being nice and humble people. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when it came to basketball, they just didn't have a killer. Even Vince Carter, who played up in Canada, one of the things with Vince, most people just didn't think, and Vince is the Michael Jordan of Canadian basketball. I think a lot of y'all don't understand that. If y'all too young, he was the Michael Jordan of Canadian basketball. Everybody in Canada that come out of Canada pay homage to Vince Carter, right? It'd been nice to see him and T-Mac stay together up there, but another question for another day, right? And him and Jamal Murray are starting to change the reputation of Canadian basketball players. They're starting to be known as stone cold killers. You know, Murray a stone cold killer, Shea Gillensley a stone cold killer. Right now, he giving you 33, 5, and 6.4 assists with a field goal percentage almost 52%. With a 3-point percentage 37%, 90% from the charity stripe, free throw line. Three-time All-Star, 2-time All NBA. I mean, what else do you want? And you know, and what validates these stats even more so? You know, Jokić played with another Hall of Famer, with Russell Westbrook. I seen him blow that layup. Truth be told, I blew 2 layups like that in playing basketball for the game winner. It hurt I still think about that shit to this day. So I'll never kick a man down for that. It happens. 2 easy layups was crazy, right? And they winning. And they don't have another like superstar right now. I mean, Shaq Holmgren stay healthy. He will be one. Like Jalen was it Jalen Williams? What's the brother's name over there? I forget his name. His brother just got drafted too. I like his brother Cody. So they don't have another superstar there. Look at it. They're 14 games ahead of the goddamn Rockets for first in the West. Shout out to Houston too. They balling. You know. So, so like I continue to say, he ain't, crying and begging for the motherfucker like Luka to be on his team. He got that Mamba mentality where I'm a ball who I got a ball with. So with you being 14 games above the next team, I mean, about 17 games ahead of Jokić. You don't have another all-star on the team other than yourself, I don't believe, right? They got some good players. Isaiah Hartenstein, dirty ass. I mean, they got Lou Dort still in the league. They got their own Nikola. Caruso over there, Wiggins, Jalen. I mean, yeah, they got a nice team, but it's, he don't have, it ain't, what I'm saying? He got, I mean, and look what he's doing with that young team. So, in my opinion, being 17, 18 games ahead of Jokić, whatever it is, with the group of guys, they all young and growing, and what he's doing right now, you can talk about numbers, but you take him off of there. I mean, what else do you got? At least in Denver, you still got some solid niggas. Aaron Gordon, Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray. You take him off this team, like, bro, it's valuable, not number. It's the most valuable player. It's the most valuable player right now. I believe he is the most valuable player, and he has been the most valuable player for the last 2 years, and that's just my opinion on it. Y'all get so caught up in numbers. Let's talk about the value. Look what he's doing. I'm not saying these guys are bad guys. Jalen Williams, the next best player on this team right now. You hope that Shaq can stay healthy and grow into what he need to grow into, but value. Without him, they probably fighting for Cooper Flag. You know what I'm saying? Come on. Just being honest.
Oh, it's holiday season, nigga.
But that is what it is. But let's end it off. Talk about Steph and LeBron. So, a lot of people, at the end of the day, Steph Curry, I think, the way they play the game, a lot of people don't kind of like the run and gun type of thing. But when you start talking about impact, Steph Curry is the most impactful player probably since Allen Iverson. It was Allen, then it was Michael, it was Magic and Bird. I mean, Magic deserve a lot of more credit than he get. Magic inspired a lot of bigger guys to start handling the basketball. Him and Nowitzki and Kevin Garnett, those was the ones. Those was the guys. Steph Curry's impact, I think, on the court, there ain't been as impactful player on the court as Steph. Like, I'm not saying impact doesn't mean positive. I'm not saying that it's negative. You do what you want to do with the information. But you know, he is the Michael Jordan of impact of basketball. He's the Michael Jordan of this era. Because what he does is, you know, that's different from Michael. We couldn't do what Michael do. We couldn't hang in the air, switch hands. We couldn't rock the cradle like him and Julius Erving. You know what I'm saying? But what Steph can do, every person in around the world can attempt to do. They can try to shoot. So Steph Curry is like the Michael Jordan of this era. I mean, I truly believe that. The impact that he had on the game is everywhere. You go to little elementary school games, they shooting from the 3-point line. So the weird thing about LeBron is this motherfucker always want to team up with people. I guess that might be only child syndrome, you know, or growing up in an era where we had video games like NBA Live and Shootout and we can, you know, customize our rosters. I don't know that, but he always want to team up with people. But yeah, it's time for them to move on, in my opinion. You know, humbly, it's time for them to move on. They had a great run throughout their career, to be honest. You know, but the NBA needs to turn the light to something else. They need a new storyline. But you know what? They just like the majority of Americans. You know, when something come up, you know, instead of getting ahead of it, we just wait till it come up and deal with it instead of planning for it. So, you know, but at the end of the day, it's just tired of it. It's just so much new talent that deserve the spotlight that these guys get. And they should go out on their own shit with the NBA. Need to turn that spotlight more on, you know, more on Minnesota, more on OKC, more on Detroit, more on Indiana, more on New York. You know, you need to turn that spotlight on Cleveland, Boston. Turn your marketing machine. You know, we've seen in other, you know, sports and other, you know, even wrestling, they turn some guys who may not been the most charismatic and they made them charismatic. I mean, Blake Griffin, he has a personality, but you know what I'm saying? But the NBA, they put a lot of marketing into Blake Griffin. You know, and Blake Griffin kind of came a crossover star. They need to start putting that effort into those guys. At the end of the day, you know, Steph and LeBron got you a nice, juicy TV deal. So now let's pass the baton on to these young guys and let's go on for the next 10, 15 years. You know, whether it's Wemby and Anthony Edwards or Cade Cunningham or Garland or Paolo or whoever it may be, Jalen Brunson, Cat. I mean, you can go on and on. Franz Wagner, Tyrese Maxey. You know, there's no shortage of top talent. Jalen Green, Ahmed, Asar Thompson. They got all types of players. Ja Morant, Zion, if they can stay healthy. LaMelo Ball. Let's start kind of marketing them, putting them in a position to take over. And I just think they just trying to, you know, squeeze what they can out of LeBron and Steph, and we're gonna deal with the problem when it becomes an issue. No, we know it's an issue now. Let's get ahead of that problem and let's fix it. You know what I'm saying? So I think at the end of the day, it's no ill will towards them, but the NBA needs to move on and they need to start to kind of, you know, do something else. He said most of these centers today are trash. Rudy Gobert is the worst. Yeah, when I watch Rudy Gobert, I don't see it defensively or nothing. A lot of these guys need to do powerlifting to put on weight. I mean, yeah, because it's high calorie burning sport. So yeah, they gotta bulk. You know, that's just what it is. Ja need to put on about 10 pounds. Most of these men now are feeling them. Blame the women. Haven't watched a full NBA game all year, only sports betting. I mean, if you betting your money, you should be watching. You get a better understanding of it. For 9 years, many more. Appreciate it, bro. He said Prime Grant Hill would average 40 in this area, and he couldn't even fucking shoot. Well, hell, look at all the hip-hop rapper battlers, and then rather battle than work together. They don't even collab no more. Nope. And then when you start Kamado, when they start collabing, they don't even be in the studio no more. They what you call it? People do remote. They remote fucking collab. That's the truth. He said, and much I don't mind battle culture. That shit get old and seeing these rappers come together. Yeah, especially but that's what they want to do. Kill themselves off, put themselves in jail, and then they take their masters and make money off their music, don't get shit back to their family. That was Trae Young changed his game. He became a true point guard. He had to. The only thing that motherfucker need to do is learn how to defend. He defend, he'll be all right. Bron and Draymond said a lot of players in the league do not know how to run simple flex offense. Yeah, that's what that dude said on 520 when they had it on. Well, it's the episode they had on with Master P. Watch the beginning half of that. He says, dude putting up video game numbers. And that's cool. Wilt put up 100. But look at Wilt numbers. You know, look at some of the numbers Shaq put up. How would Joker do against David Robinson? It'll be a war, but I would probably favor David Robinson. Yeah, Ralph Sampson was nice. He said, yep, that was in Toronto. Don't forget Rick. Oh, you talking about Rick Smits? Grego, she would be a center. Yeah, she would be a center. She would be great. She didn't have a consistent motor. Yeah, Sport Channel Cash Up $ CJ Good 313. She didn't have a consistent motor. He said blame Prime LeBron for modern basketball. We just talked about that. Derek Coleman will be the MVP candidate this year, this era. He said, hell, he looked at all the all-star pure shit. Yeah, they don't care. They want to be celebrity. They don't want to. And then Dwayne Wade was talking about how, they have all this type of stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever going on. LeBron and Steph killed the game. He said LeBron is an all-time great player, but he ruined the NBA. And he did. Missing layup is one thing, but 5 and 3-point. Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, that's messed up. But hey, let me get out of here, man. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. And I want to talk about the Wade debate a little bit with Harden, but I say that for another. For the most part, I'll say that for another day. But I appreciate y'all. Check out the NBA 101 playlist. Peace.